Guys, coming up is a brand new week, and we're diving back into the inbox and getting our first look at those solo glasses in action.
Ooh. This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Happy new week, Shaun Preece. How are you?
Oh, dear. I am great, thank you, Stephen Scott. You almost got me weeing and oohing at the same time there, because we're diving into the inbox and new Ally Solo demo. I'm interested.
That's right. Weeing and oohing. You can get ointment for that, by the way. I think. Ask your doctor if weeing and oohing is right for you.
Oh, leave it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the Ally Solos. A new video has come out, and it's going to give us a bit of a first look at them in action. Shall we listen in?
Yes, let's.
Hey, Ally, can you take a look at these two milk containers in front of me and tell me the difference between them?
Let me take a look. So you got 2 cartons of Rude Health oat milk in front of you. The one on the left is labeled organic, which means it's made from organically grown oats, probably without synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. The one on the right is labeled barista, which suggests it's specially formulated for making coffee drinks, likely with a creamier texture to handle frothing better. Both are oat milk, but aimed at slightly different uses or preferences. Enjoy your plant-based milk adventure, I guess.
Okay. AI with attitude there, which is something that, the Envision guys say is part of the whole Ally experience. First thoughts there, you're hearing them in use. The lady in the video was wearing the glasses. She was using them to get information about the products. Thoughts?
Okay. I must admit, I'm not blown away. I thought the response time wasn't great. But other than that, it's just AI in action, right? I mean, what was I expecting?
Just AI in action? Okay, well, hang on a minute. What do you mean by that?
Well, just like anything on my Meta Ray-Bans would have given me a similar response. Any AI service on my phone would have given me a similar response.
Do you think so? Do you think it would have given you the same response as that? Do you think it would have gone into as much detail, saying, this is maybe for coffee and the suggestion here
I don't want that detail. Let's be honest. Imagine going through your cupboard or your fridge, right? I do this all the time. What's this can? What's this can? What's this can? Imagine that response time and that level of detail. Now, of course, you can customize the prompt, maybe, or let's ask it in the right way. Just give me the name of what I'm holding, of what this can is. Maybe you get less of the flowery detail. But I don't know. This is just AI. Am I being too harsh? Come on, pick me up on it.
Yeah, no, I do feel a little bit harsh. I mean, I think also, you're not known as Mr. Lover of AI. You're not Mr. Lover.
No,
when it comes to
AI. No.
Absolutely not. AI, no, I think is your phrase around here. And, I think for that reason, I don't know if you feel maybe that you've maybe just a bit AI'd out or whatever. And I don't know in this situation either if this girl was in a shop or she was in her own house. I don't know what the environment was here. But
does it matter?
Well, I think it does matter, actually, because if that was a store, that is exactly the kind of level of information I'd be wanting. I'd want to know detail about the product, and I want it given to me in that conversational way. It looks like this is for this or this is for that purpose. That can be really useful if you're buying, say, a yogurt and you want to know if it's a banana yogurt or a strawberry yogurt or I'm looking for a plain Greek yogurt type thing, Not that I've never bought any of those products, by the way.
You've never bought a yogurt?
Yeah, exactly. These are not products I buy, to be honest, but my wife does. Sorry, what did I say?
Yogurt. That's British. People don't know.
Oh, yeah, we lose the T, don't we? Yogurt.
Yeah. Yogurt. No, I'm sorry. That's too much info. If I want to drill down, hey, what's the expiry date? What's the ingredients in this? What's this for? Then that's a follow-on question. As I'm going through, look, it's not that I hate AI, Stephen Scott, by the way. I love AI.
I want to just take you back to the episode where we had you saying AI. We actually had it on screen on YouTube the whole time you were talking, by the way. So if you know this, AI is terrible. It said on the screen, says Shaun Preece.
Yes.
Just don't want to pick you up on anything you've said,
Thanks.
specifically. Not use your words against you necessarily, but, you did say it was terrible.
Okay. I love AI. I ask AI questions all the time. What I'm saying is, in those situations, like on my Meta glasses, I do not use AI because it's not reliable. I will say, hey, what's in front of me? And just to get an idea of the weather or whatever. It's great, lovely. If I want to know, if there's something in the way or, what does this say? I'm sorry, I can't rely on it. I know a lot of people say you can get it to read documents word for word. And sometimes, very rarely, I can get it to do that. And even then, it makes mistakes when I double check it.
Hang on.
Because of that, it is impractical to use AI for any of our needs.
You're saying AI a lot.
Yes.
What are you specifically talking about? Are you talking about meta AI?
In this case, I'm talking about Meta AI. I am also talking about ChatGPT, Gemini, and also Copilot. I use them all. Now, whether you access that through the website, an app on your desktop computer, your laptop, your iPhone, your Android phone, or even whatever pair of smart glasses, it's still the same AI service, right? The difference here is how it's tailored via prompting. It's still using the same information.
I want to play the video one more time, and I want to pick up on something specific, which I think you'll probably know where I'm going to go here, but let's watch this again.
Hey, Ally, can you take a look at these two milk containers in front of me and tell me the difference between them?
The thing I'm noticing is the gap. Okay, so first off, taking the picture, and then the time to respond.
Let me take a look.
So it's telling you, it's giving you that holding pattern. Let me take a look. Couple of seconds later.
So you got 2 cartons of Rude Health oat milk in front of you. One on the left
and then you're
is
getting
labeled-
and then you're getting the response, right? So it's taken a bit of time. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, is that too long?
Yes.
Or are we getting too used to speedy responses?
No, look, I'm not. I really don't want to hate on the technology at all. I still think this is absolutely.
No, I think it's fair. It's fair to question it, right? It's fair to wonder about what we're getting.
My point is, even when I'm saying AI is terrible, of course it's not terrible, and totally useless. What I'm talking about is our use case. I will say something. When you played that back the second time, I didn't even pick this up. And tell me the difference between the two. So the AI did exactly what was asked of it in that case. So I got to take that back. Maybe if I just said, tell me what this milk is or whatever, the names of the milk, then it would be far more to the point. I'm just saying from practical terms, right? What we want, what we're all waiting for when it comes to smart glasses is something that will help us. And all this, we're nearly there. We're so close. Right now, today, that wouldn't help me. It just wouldn't.
See, I think we've got a problem here in the blind community to some degree. And what? Because what's happening is
Careful.
Well, but let's break this down a little bit, right? A lot of us are looking for these answers that you're talking about, right? Being serious here,
Yes.
right? All the stuff you're talking about, navigation and
Yes.
prompting and all this stuff. We want it all to be perfect and we want it all to be great. We want to move past potential. We want to move it to proven, to perfect, whatever.
Yeah, I will pick you up on we want it to be. It needs to be.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, it needs to be. But we're at the mercy of the bigger companies. And I sometimes wonder if companies like Envision their reputation might be impacted, not because of the work they're doing, but because of the company that's the overarching AI that they're using, the brain behind essentially all of this technology being the problem. It's not moving quickly enough, or it's not there ready enough. It's not available yet. I mean, let's be honest. Meta AI in and of itself is not brilliant. We know that. We've all had experiences. Look, I've many issues with my Meta glasses. It's not all to do with AI. I just want to make a WhatsApp call and actually have it in my glasses when I ask. I don't want every update to have to reconnect my WhatsApp account as I had to do again the other day.
Me too.
And why is it always doing it? Because, of course, I don't make a call in advance of going out. I make a call when I'm out with the glasses. Yep. That's the point. I don't want to wait until I'm out there to be told, even if it is the wonderful Judi Dench telling me, maybe I should go and reconnect my
to
glasses.
WhatsApp to do this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another 5 minutes while I'm stood in the middle of the street trying to connect it.
That's right.
No, yeah, absolutely true. So the
So
problem...
my point is that the wearables aren't quite there yet. We're still at a very early stage. And I think that when people are buying these glasses, they're kind of looking to envision to provide the solution that perhaps Meta can't yet. And I think that's a flaw in the thinking at the moment. Because ultimately...
In who's thinking? Are you blaming the consumer?
In the customer's opinion. It's a flaw in the thinking because Envision are at the mercy of the bigger companies, as are all these, as are Celeste, well, they're now no longer, sadly, but Giga, they're all at the mercy of bigger AI companies. So when we hear or we identify issues, we're identifying issues not with the technology that's being sold directly by that company, but by the behind-the-scenes AI.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I agree to an extent. And when I say, look, these are impractical and not really useful for me, I suppose there's cases when I don't suppose. I know people have told me that they love the AI features of the Meta Ray-Bans, and because of that, similar these other glasses as well. They love the AI features, and it does help them. I'm just not convinced. Look, it's all about setting expectations here. Now, you say that's down to the consumer. The customer should know those expectations. I don't entirely...
No, I don't think they should. No. I think it's up to us to explain this, right? I think that's the point. That the companies are, Envision wants to sell glasses.
No.
Meta wants to sell glasses. They want to sell AI. So does OpenAI. So do, whoever else is selling products. They want to sell those products.
Are you saying PR and marketing doesn't matter?
No, I'm saying it absolutely matters, but you're always going to get the good side of it, right? You're never going to hear, oh, well, it's not perfect yet because we haven't made it perfect yet. I don't think you're ever going to hear that from a company.
Well,
that's up to us to tell people that. And I think it's just important to understand what's actually powering this. Now, as for the delay, I don't feel I get the same level of delay on the Meta glasses, and I find that interesting. So is that a hardware thing with the Solos? I don't know. Never used the Solo glasses. I'll find out when I get hands-on, if I get hands-on with them. Also, who knows? It could be down to connection speed. It could be down to network speed. Who knows?
You can try this out right now, as we talked about when we had Envision on. I mean, you can go download the Ally app and try this out. I've noticed that there is a slight delay. Hey, maybe it's down to server load at the moment. Maybe lots of people are trying it. I don't know, but there's no getting away from the fact that there is a delay there. Now, some people may have listened to that or watched that video and said, a couple of seconds, who cares? Again, this is very subjective.
Yeah.
But I just know I wouldn't use that because of that delay. Because,
you wouldn't. So on the basis of that video,
yes,
you wouldn't buy these.
You know what? What I would end up doing is pulling out my phone, opening Seeing AI, and having it read instantly to me. And that's
but
just
you're not getting the same thing, though. I think again that's a false equivalency for me.
No,
you get an instant text read to you, yes, but you're not getting the information read to you and being constructed back in an answer.
It's what you want. If I want the instant text, then there's Seeing AI. If I want more than that, then hey, maybe these are the answer. But for example, going through your wardrobe, what's this? What's this T-shirt? What's this shirt? What color is it? What's on the front of it? What design is it? Whatever else. Any amount of delay in that is after 2 or 3 times, you just think, oh, forget it. I'll just grab whatever and put whatever
so true.
on.
That's true.
And look, again, I'm not blaming Envision for this. I'm not blaming a Giga when they come out with their Echo Visions. I'm not blaming Meta Ray-Ban. All I'm saying is, in practical terms, when it comes down to our use case, it doesn't work as we want it to. And you could say, well, that's down to our expectations. And maybe that's down to us because we got very hyped about AI. Right at the start, as everyone did.
No, I didn't. I did not. I absolutely sat on the fence at the beginning, and I think if you remember rightly, we did a whole episode right at the beginning. I know you don't.
You said it was terrible. I remember.
Thank goodness there are evidence of this somewhere. Not that I could find it or ever will. If we had AI to help us find it, maybe. But no, I was very on the fence about it at the start. In fact, we did a whole episode at the beginning when we were talking about the launch of ChatGPT. That I was thinking, right, where am I in this? Am I terrified?
I think it's got worse.
Excited?
I honestly think AI's got worse from the fact that it's so unreliable in its accuracy. And in the case of using it, and again, we're coming down to what should you use AI for us? Should you even rely on it for navigation, as in, is there anything in front of me?
Well,
and if it gets it wrong, can we be annoyed about that?
Well, look, one thing I'm seeing a lot of is, and this is a general conversation, but it very much applies to accessibility, is, where niche models, where small large language models, essentially smaller, more focused in libraries of information are being used. That is where we're seeing the best success. I think the challenge is with general AI, and that's what you're talking about with Meta AI and ChatGPT. And we know that because, you go and ask it what the screen curtain gesture is or keyboard command for NVDA is. It'll either get it 100% right on Perplexity on day 1 in America, and day 2 in the UK, when I tried it, it gave me absolute nonsense. And when I corrected it, it told me, you're right, it's also this, which is also wrong. There are real challenges with general AI. And I guess, and I hope what Envision are doing here is tuning that. But obviously they're tuning off a general model. I don't know if they're building a niche model. That's something that I think I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But if that was to be the case,
is what I'm saying.
Well, one example of this, which sadly was on the episode of Extra that never aired, Michael Babcock brought this up, and we will talk to these guys about this. Michael Deweese and Taylor Arndt have been putting out a huge amount of work recently on the subject of coding and talking about building apps and using shortcuts and all this stuff. Yeah. And one thing that they built was an app, which I don't think it's out yet. I think it's in beta, called Perspective AT. And it's going to be an app, I think, for the iPhone, I think. And my understanding is that this is when it launches, it's going to be a resource for people to ask questions about screen readers. So let's say you have a question about, that command for screen curtain on NVDA, or maybe it's JAWS, or on VoiceOver on the Mac or whatever. You can ask Perspective AT and it will give you the answer. But it's being trained on the material to give you the right answer. And I think that oftentimes I've seen this mistake made, and I'm not saying by those guys, but I've seen this mistake made before, where it may well be trained on the information, but it's also got the ability to look out to the wider web. And I feel if you train it on the data that you need it to be learning and need it to understand, essentially give it the books to learn and cut off the wider web, I would imagine you'd get a much better set of responses, because it is referring to the data as opposed to looking outside. Oh, and also maybe build in something that says, if you don't know the answer, say don't know.
Yeah, well, look, it's narrowing the spotlight, right? It's as I mentioned last time when I was saying AI was terrible, it's poisoning the well. If you crawl 1,000 different forums with information from 1991 or something, of course you're going to get different answers. And how does it know? How does it distinguish? What's the algorithm for saying, okay, this is a later post, this is more likely to be true? That app you mentioned there, absolutely fantastic. AI is an amazing technology. It's the data that it's working off that's the problem. And I just feel like everything is just being thrown at these general AIs at the moment, that it's becoming just useless. Focused like that, absolutely fantastic. Throw it an NVDA document, throw it a JAWS document, VoiceOver document, ask it to scan that, use that as its model. It would be amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there who will happily sit and consume a manual of an evening. It's just not me. And I've mentioned this before when it comes to training and learning all this kind of stuff. I am just not the guy to sit down with the manual. If I could sit and have a conversation with an AI agent who could talk me through the questions I have, to actually talk me through the process. I mean, one example given with, I think, Meta recently, I think it was last year at the Meta Connect event, when they were kind of showcasing these new Hypernova glasses where it could see the whatever the person was doing. I can't remember if it was Google that did this or it was Meta. I think it was Meta. And someone was putting up a shelf. And the woman said, okay, I want to put this shelf up on the wall. What do I need to do? And, it wanted her to look at the, what she had, what was available to her. And then it would sort of begin the process of explaining what she needed to do. I want that for my screen reader. I want that for the software I'm using. I want that.
Yes.
And I think if the companies start to create these small niche AIs that we can use, then things are going to get a lot better very quickly. That, I think, is where the success lies. The challenge, I guess, for Envision and for any company in the assistive space is it needs the bigger brain, because the information you're giving it is from the wider world. It's not like a niche set of products. Like, okay, blind people only buy this brand of milk, so we need to know this brand of milk and what it looks like. That's not how life works, right? It'd be a lot easier if it would. If only blind people would just buy the same milk.
Says Stephen Scott.
Get that on a T-shirt. But, that's the thing, right? We live in the real world, and that's the problem. So we do need to lean on these wider models. And I think you're right. I think the problem is there's so much slop out there that we've got some real problems coming up when it comes to the accuracy of the information. And we don't seem to be able to fix that. And that's not down to Envision. And that's my point. We can't look to them for the answer to that, because it's down to the bigger companies
then don't
who are actually
put yourself
running it.
in the position of being the answer to that.
Well, then I guess you would say then innovation doesn't happen in any sense, right? I mean, would you not rather they're trying? Would you not rather they're in the room having a conversation?
I'm just asking the question. And likewise, as I just said, some people will say, that is absolutely amazing to me. That would be so useful to me. So, I honestly don't know the answer to it. But, some people may look at that video and be blown away. I wasn't.
Okay. All right. Well,
Sorry.
You're entitled. Listen, here at Double Tap, you're entitled to your opinion.
Oh.
That's the joy. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's wrong. If
it's wrong, and I'll get told off as soon as we're off there. That's fine.
Absolutely not. That's not how it works here. You know that, right?
It is.
It is absolutely. You will not be shouted at. Oh, wait. Maybe you will. Right, never mind that. Let's move on to emails. Come on.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
Every day.
Here's your mail today.
AI know.
That's hard to say.
That is hard to do, especially when you're out of sync. It's hilarious. Anyway, we need to do this together one day. We should actually get together and do this show.
No.
I don't like the way that just cuts off like that. Why does it do that?
What happened?
Who edited that?
Where's the gentle fade?
I know, there's no gentle fade on that. It just cuts off. It just does. Terrible.
Can I just say, I didn't edit that before you sent an email, Dean. That wasn't me.
Right, let's get into the emails. Lots of talk on the Monarch. We're going to start with Aya.
Hi, Double Tappers.
Hey.
I'm Aya from Canada. I'm about to get a Monarch. I'm in second year university, and I did lots of work and funding. I've been working on this for about a year. Anyhow, I have a question. I watched or listened to your episode with Chris talking about the Monarch, and she talked about Sudoku, and I'm wondering, did they make it as an app for the Monarch, or did she manage to do it in a specific way? I'm really into Sudoku, and I think it would be really cool to actually have access to that, be able to do it with the Monarch. But I haven't received my Monarch yet, and I've just been looking at different things I can test it with, besides schoolwork, of course. Thanks.
Oh, Aya, lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much for getting in touch. And it's a great question. I don't know if there's an app store necessarily for the Monarch yet. I don't know quite how that works. There's an absolutely zero point asking Shaun Preece.
Yes. No, I haven't managed to get my hands on a Monarch quite yet.
Would you even know what it was if you did?
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely would not. If it turned up in the post, I had no idea. I'd be ironing my clothes on it, probably. We'll have to ask Chris.
Yeah, we'll put that out to
But it's
Chris.
Sudoku.
To Chris. Yeah. I know that Chris is loving it, as are many other people, incidentally, including our next contributor. Now, this is quite a long one, but I want to play it in full because Eden talks about the Monarch. But another topic which I think is really important, and that is employment. And Eden's, let's just say, issues with success in employment. A very interesting conversation. Sit back and enjoy this.
Good evening, Stephen and Shaun and all the Double Tap listeners. Wow, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things, one of which you've talked about on the show and one of which you've not, but kind of goes hand in hand. You guys were talking about the Monarch, and I am one of, now 4 people that I'm aware of that have bought it as a consumer product. Now, I'm sure there's more, but there's 4 for sure that I know of. And I love my Monarch, and I do think it's expensive, but I also think that it has helped me, or it will help me even more, especially when JAWS comes out, because I do a lot of proofreading as I'm a court reporter, and Also, I'm hoping to maybe use the extra lines to show some status information in some windows eventually if I can get someone to script it or figure it out. But either way, I just think there's a lot to it, and I don't care so much about the graphics. I could go without that personally, but I'm trying to get interested in them. I am starting to learn to play chess because of it. I figured, why not? It's right there, and they're even going to have an online version. But I do a lot of reading on it. I correct other people's transcripts in the word processor. I proofread my own. I read tons of Braille books because I'm much more of a Braille reader. But for fiction books, I had really gone to mostly audio because of the fact that it was so exhausting, pan, even though the Braille sense, for sure, the buttons to pan are right near the Braille display, but still, it just gets exhausting. And, I mean, the membrane did take some getting used to, but really, not as long as I thought. I did think I was going to send it back after the first night. I'm like, God, I should have stuck with my first opinion of this membrane and that it sucks. But I think really the first one I felt was someone at a school, and I think maybe it was a new membrane, and they're very stiff when they're new. And we can blame Chris Cook for mine too, because I was bugging people to see another one once I heard other people weren't having trouble with the membrane, and she's finally like, well, you can come over here. And so I went over there, and then I came home and ordered a Monarch, and thank goodness I have a very understanding husband who understands my tech necessities and addictions. But this leads me to my second point. I was really, really happy about my Monarch. And admittedly, I've been happy, that I managed to get a, six-figure income job. And I know that not everyone can do that. And, I feel bad that not everyone has that opportunity. But I really had to go for a very niche kind of job to do it and get a certification that doesn't really require a whole lot of interviewing to get a job. If you have the certification, you can get the job usually. Well, if you want to work in the courts, that takes a little bit more. But if you're freelance, you just tell them you're a certified court reporter and they send you work. I've never experienced anything like that. But anyway, I got a lot of people, why aren't you helping other blind people or other people who are less fortunate than you? Or how can you spend that money on, frivolous things like the Monarch? And I just, that really ticks me off, because I could never imagine someone saying that to a sighted person. So I think people need, if they're unhappy with, how other people are spending their money, or they think there should be more money towards a certain thing, then they can get off their butt and work. And, I know some people can't. Some people, all they can do is customer service or social work, or that's what they want to do. And, I get that, there's the people applying for those jobs are, a dozen, more for every one of us. There's a dozen sighted people ready to take it on. So that's why I've always picked weird professions. I was a tarot card reader, for God's sake. So, I'm creative, and so I've managed to make my way. I've managed to find what I need, and I wish people were more supportive. And some people are like, oh, it just sounds like you're trying to brag. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just trying to show that, yes, unless you have some, functional mental disability or something that, depending on what you're willing to do, you can have what I have, you can have. And that's why it just really makes me sad that people are so upset about this. So, anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I still love your show. I still think you guys are awesome.
Oh.
And thank you for recognizing that, yes, the Monarch is a consumer product. And by the way, I have a new list. It is called Multi-Line Braille Display Users, and it is multi-line-braille-display-users plus subscribes at groups.io, although that may be changing because we are growing at a rapid rate, and I've actually been seeking sponsorship for the list so that I'm not paying for the groups.io by myself, and I've had a couple of actual companies, one a manufacturer, not Humanware, but one a manufacturer and one just a group of people, I think that are another group here in the U.S., have offered to either, host it on their site or pay for it. So we'll see how that goes. But the list right now is active as it is, and I'm not planning on disbanding it. It's pretty quiet. There's not a lot of junk on it. So if you do join, I have approval set on our messages because I don't want this off-topic, yeah, thanks, or, oh, I know this is about multi-line displays, but, oh, what about this?
Yep.
So, anyway, I'm off. I talked too long. Oh, God, you're going to cut this. Okay. All right, bye.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to cut any of that, to be honest. There was so much in there that was interesting. I think the first point I want to make is obviously regarding the Monarch. Yeah, I mean, I've heard and been ridiculed slightly for suggesting it was a consumer product by our very own Greg in Pennsylvania, who ridiculed me for saying it. Well, there you go. There's a consumer who's bought it, and not the only one, I might add. There's many who seem to be keen to buy it. Okay, the numbers are small.
Yeah, let's say
be
outliers.
realistic.
So I wouldn't say many. This isn't, the level liquid indicator of our community
No, okay, I'll give you that.
by any stretch, but it's available to consumer.
You say that, but you wouldn't buy a liquid level indicator.
No, I've got fingers and they're free.
Yeah. Not for long if you keep using them as liquid level indicators, that's all I'll say.
My fingers are numb now anyway. Couldn't read Braille if I wanted to. It's so interesting that every person I talk to about the Monarch loves it.
Yep.
I mean, that's all I can go off. We've said what we've said about, the price point, and we've had so many discussions about assistive tech pricing over the years. But when it comes down to it, and kind of what I was talking about right at the start here, in practical terms, does it help? And everyone I speak to, love it.
If you're using Braille for work, I'll say for work, but if you're using Braille in any capacity, and I say for work because you're probably more likely to get access to this through work.
Well, it's easier to justify the price.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. But, okay, even if you have the money to buy it on your own, if you love Braille, you really love it and you're using it all the time, and it's like, it's just your world or window to the world, right? You can totally understand how the Monarch is just going to make that even better.
Yeah.
The mention there of JAWS being available, meaning, for those who don't know, we're talking about the multi-line display support, which is coming into JAWS in 2026, or the version
already?
2026.
I thought it was there.
I don't know if it's rolled into 25 yet. I thought it was coming out in the new version.
Okay.
For the new year.
We don't know because we haven't used it. I thought it was there, and NVDA I thought supported it.
I don't know if NVDA supports multi-line, does it?
I think so. Anyway, you'd have to look into that yourself. I don't live in the Braille display world. I honestly wouldn't know.
But you're quite happy to speculate and just make it up.
Well, I remember reading it. It gets, okay, yeah. Honestly,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Apple does either. I think that I've seen a lot of comments from people saying there was real hope that Apple would implement this multi-line Braille display support. They haven't yet. Although, interestingly, the dot pad does work with it, which is interesting. So clearly the bones are in there for it. The bones are there.
Okay.
To the other point, though, and this one I've got to say, I'll be honest, I haven't faced this myself. This is not something I can say I've faced myself, but I completely understand and have heard similar stories from other people in many walks of life. As soon as anybody starts to have any kind of success, there's that sense of, well, what are you doing for others to almost justify the success, or somehow make it. Maybe I'm not particularly successful, I suppose. Maybe that's why no one says it to me. But clearly in your role and what you're doing, Eden, it's attracting a lot of people towards that. You're saying yourself, you've got a 6-figure salary. people are, saying, oh, well, you should, instead of spending your money on a Monarch, you should maybe be giving that to other blind people. Well, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I'm not for that. I'm not for that at all. And I live in a country which has been brought up on this idea that blindness equals charity, and that, everyone must help the blind.
Hooray!
But it does feed into this horrible situation that as soon as you get in any way successful, no one understands, no one gets it. You could almost be a multi-millionaire blind person and no one will believe you. Like, you could show them bank statements and no one will believe you. Because it's like, someone must have given you that, or you've saved up all your benefit money, and that's well done you.
I don't understand that mentality anyway. What's it got to do with anyone else? I mean, I could say that for every remark or comment that Eden made there, to be honest. But let's talk about, what are you giving back? Well, firstly, you don't know what Eden is giving back for a start. Simply going off, well, you bought an expensive bit of kit, therefore, you're a bad person. Well, that's utter nonsense. Of course not.
The closest I ever got to it was someone said to me once, I was buying some equipment at the time, and I was going through my pandemic paranoia.
Another keyboard. Oh, you're a terrible person.
Pandemic paranoia buying. And, I was buying pretty much everything that I could find on Amazon because I was bored. And, yes, the credit card was being hammered ever so slightly. And a couple of friends were concerned. They're saying, look, are you all right? You're spending a little bit much. And I said, look, I can afford to spend it. That's fine. And then there was oh, well, hang on a minute. If you can afford to spend it, then what's going on there? What do you mean? What, am I not allowed to spend? Well, maybe you shouldn't spend the money on that. Maybe you should spend it on other things. Like what? And also, what's it got to do with you? It's my money. If I want to spend it, if I want to burn it, if I want to do it, I'll do what I want. It's my money. Why do you care? I never understood this mindset. People love to just do you down. As soon as you've got any kind of either success or something that someone else doesn't have, someone always keen to just try and knock you down. I've got to say, I thought this was very much a UK thing, and a very much, from my experience, a very west of Scotland thing where I come from. It's very common. I remember once travelling back to see my grandmother who lived in Parkhead, the town I was brought up in, and I was on the bus, and I met a friend who I'd been to school with, many, many years earlier at primary school. And, he said, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. And we're chatting away. And he was now working in the police. And I said, brilliant, well done. And that's great, And I was really proud of him, what he'd done. And he said, you've changed, though. You've changed. You're not one of us anymore. What does that mean? Well, you don't speak the way we do. And he was, in the proper Glasgow accent, as is the Glasgow accent, right? Now, my accent never formed to that. It just never did. I don't know why. It became this thing, whatever this is. I mean,
you were born for radio, Stephen Scott.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I'll tell you honestly where it came from. It came from years of not being out the front door. My mother wouldn't let me out the front door. I was at home. I wasn't allowed out to fraternize with the other kids and play and do the things and run around and do all the stuff they were doing.
Absolutely.
So because of that, I didn't get a chance to form it. And I went to secondary school in a very different part of the city, which, might seem odd to people outside of it. But, when you live in cities, you'll know that even in a city in itself, accents can be very different. And that's one thing in the UK. You can go 10 miles and people speak totally differently, even different words to describe things. So for that reason, I had to adjust my voice to accommodate different people, different places. And I traveled a lot. I met many different people and then started doing broadcasting. I mean, you're in broadcast, you can't really afford to have this, accent you were born with to some degree. You just can't. You have to be able to be heard and understood by many people, although I will also take reference to the fact that I get a lot of emails from people saying, Stephen, I have no idea what you're talking about most of the time. I assume they're referring to the accent.
That has changed a little bit. Regional accents have become quite cool now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also a lot of kids nowadays sound very American, and it's because of Netflix and YouTube and things like that.
Language change.
It does, and accents change. But the point that he was making was, well, I've changed. I've become someone else. Again, what has this got to do with you? It's like,
and besides that, they're judging you on something that really doesn't affect anything. There's no real information. They're judging you on one thing. It doesn't matter. Like anything, though, it's not quite black and white. It's interesting. Did I say on Friday's show that, I joined Ramblio and my second question was, how much would you pay for this? And there was a few responses to that. And there was a couple talking about how, the blind community expect things for free.
Mm-hmm.
and
That's true. There is an element of that.
Yeah, and because the assumption is that we're not working. Well, if you're not working, get yourself working. Do something to get yourself out of that. And that's a very interesting conversation, because I don't entirely agree with that or disagree with it. There are things you can do. I spent many a time thinking I just couldn't do anything. And that was just a state of mind, right? But is that... I just don't think it's quite as easy as whatever this person has done, you could do as well. I know we're told that a lot, and it's very, inspirational. I just don't think it's always true. Yeah, everyone
there's nuance to this. Absolutely right. Of course, there's nuance to it. And what you said, Eden, about, well, get off your backside and do it. I agree with you to some degree. I often think that, it's funny. Whenever I often think about this from the Stevie Wonder perspective, right? So I think about, people who say, it's almost like Stevie Wonder to some ways was a bit of an aberration, a one-off. Like, oh, he was the blind guy who made it through. No, that's nonsense. There's many blind people out there who've done great things and work hard and do, good jobs. I think it's actually, and I kind of come back to this point about, the lack of expectation out there, that the people who are doing the stuff, I imagine someone who's sighted coming up to Eden and saying, really, that is your job? You're really getting paid a 6-figure salary? I can hear almost that attitude of, I don't quite believe that, because how could a blind person do that?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that we see a Stevie Wonder come along and, proves the point that a blind person can do great things. It's not like no one can, but it's almost like that's a one-off. It's like, okay, the blind person's had their moment. No other blind person can achieve this. Only that one person could.
Failed.
And actually, I think that feeds into the blind people sometimes. I think that's where, I know from many people I've spoken to, I've mentioned this story many times about the experience I had at NFB with people getting access to support through the UPS staff who were there to help, and no one was taking their help. Then in the UK, the exact opposite happening, where I was going to Sight Village exhibitions back in the day, and there was almost stampedes at the front door of people saying, why is there no one here to take me around? Why is no one helping me to do this? The attitude was like the exact opposite on the other side of the Atlantic. On one side, in America, it was all about do it for yourself, and in the UK, it was about who's helping me to do this. And I don't know if that's an attitude that's formed because that's what we've been built to believe. That's what we've been built to expect.
Yeah, there's positive and negatives to everything. I just think, look, what we keep saying on here, there's no one true voice, right?
No.
And everyone is individual. Some people, how often have I said, you know what, I'm not going outside. I make a joke of it, right? I'm not going outside. I don't fancy going outside. I get anxious or whatever it may be. And I don't. Sometimes I can't face going outside. Now, of course, pull yourself together, get out there is the correct attitude. But in reality, sometimes I can't cope with that. And there's people out there that can't cope with just going in there and doing it on your own. We're all handling things differently, and sometimes it may change day to day. So there just isn't you need to do it this way and that's it. It's a lot like going to someone who's suffering with depression and saying, pull yourself together. Do you know what? It's not as easy as that, because if it was, people would do that. People are dealing with, in our case, blindness in many different ways.
Which can lead to depression and lead to anxiety and lead to all these things. None of these things live in isolation. I think the point that Eden's making, though, and I think this is the thing that I think is important to pick up on here, and I think it's the reaction she has is fair when someone's attacking you.
I'm not saying Eden's wrong at all.
No.
But it's a conversation.
But what I'm saying is, regards to specifically what Eden's saying and the experience, is if someone's coming at me saying, because of this, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that because I can, or I want, or I whatever. You should be giving me the money rather than giving it to Humanware, right? If someone said that to me, my reaction would probably be, well, what are you doing to do it for yourself, right?
My reaction would be nothing.
The point I'm making is you're not saying that. That's not your argument. You're not sitting there saying to Eden, okay, why are you not giving me the $18,000?
Yeah, but
that's my point, right? Your view on this is, that Eden has the right to go and do this, and Eden has the right to do whatever she wants.
I say good luck to her.
And good luck
well
to
done.
her, right?
Yeah.
So I think the point that Eden's making is that when being attacked for her success, she has the right to turn around and say, actually, you know what? You could do this for yourself. And I agree with that. So, yeah, I'm with you. And I don't think Eden would say, that Shaun Preece should, somehow go out and just, become a court reporter tomorrow, because I don't think that's the argument. I think the argument is when being attacked, we must respond. We must be able to respond to that.
I wouldn't respond personally, because I think anyone who comes out and says it, and look, let's be clear, in that way, someone can have an opinion on anything. And if they come to me respectfully and politely, we can have a conversation about that. Someone who's coming to say, well, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. I'm sorry, you're just a rude person. And, I just think this is very social media led, but I know it does happen in the real world as well. There's people out there who may be jealous, may be bitter, and people throw that label out there as just an insult. But I think actually it is true in some cases. If people are willing to attack you for doing well, for doing something that you work towards, and I've watched Eden on social media. That sounds really creepy, but I have seen her story unfold, because she does post quite a lot on there. I've seen her post her story and her journey to getting that certification, and how she's struggled and gone through things to get that work, that profession in place. And I think she's done an amazing job, and she deserves it.
I think
most people think that.
It's two things, isn't it? It's almost as if you've gone to the point where you are successful, you're in that job, you've done all the work, you've really put the hours in, you've got it. Let's be honest about it. What we do is in no way comparative to any of that, because what do? We talk, right? But what Eden does is serious work, right? This is serious stuff. You need a lot of training for. You need a lot of time spent doing it, as you say. The story's there to read.
Stress, pressure,
all that stuff. And I think when you do all that, there's a tendency for us to become defensive about what we've done, what we've achieved. And that's probably because we are in a bit of an island. You are in a bit of an island of your own, because there aren't that many people around you who you can sort of share that experience with. It's not like,
I don't think that you can even put the accusation of being defensive. I know you're not saying that in a negative way, but
I think you have the right to be to some degree, because it's like, people are attacking you, saying, you should be doing this.
It's the people around you. Anyone who's willing to say that to you, you should, whatever it's going to be, they're in the wrong. I'm not even going to listen to what you got to say.
I'll be honest, I get it a lot, but I for different things, usually it's around opinions I have. I see that slightly differently in our role, because we're public people. This is what we do. I see it slightly differently. I expect to be attacked to my opinions. I want that. I want people to debate with me. And
you're a terrible person.
Thankfully, yeah. Well, you're absolutely right to believe that in your own head. But no, look, that's the point, right? You should be able to say that. And God knows over the last while, I'm not going to refer to world events, but, we've seen the impact that sometimes opinions can have. And I don't want to get into the details for obvious reasons. I don't want to open up that can of worms, but I do think it is, it has kind of focused the mind a little bit on the importance of being able to have an opinion. And it kind of strengthens my view of the whole, there's no one true opinion. I see some people, not so much in the blind community related to anything like this, but I start to see a little bit of closing ranks in some ways, where it's like, well, now we mustn't say anything, and now we must be quiet, and now we must follow the leader. I'm not interested in that. I'm really not interested in that. We need more open talk, open discussion, because it's really important. And I think that's why on this show we want respectful conversation, and we encourage it.
That's the bottom line. Attacking someone in whatever form, physically, verbally,
wrong.
or whatever.
It's just wrong.
And
it's jealousy. That's all it is. In Eden's case there, that person, it's just jealousy. You've got something I haven't got, and I want it. You know what? My response to that is, well, yeah, go find a way of getting it yourself. Why? I'm not going to give it to you. Why would I? What's that up to Eden to solve the world's problems? And you're right. And you made a point earlier about, you don't understand what people do. I've been accused of all kinds over the years, things that have nothing to do with me, things that have got, it's amazing the stuff that people make up. And, I was once accused of, never giving to charity. I'm like, what are you talking about? I worked in one for 15 years. I did a lot of work. I do things. I'm not going to. Also, I don't tell you my entire life story, and I'm not going to. There are things that are private in my life, and they'll remain private in my life. And, it's this expectation, and I think you said it perfectly there. It stems from social media. It stems from this idea that everyone should have an opinion all the time on absolutely everything, and that opinion is as valid as anyone else's, and it's as valid as the experts. And that's the bit I've got an issue with, where people feel they can just walk up to you in the street, and we've had it in the blind community before anyone else, before social media, where people just walk up to you in the street and just tell you, you know what I think? I think you shouldn't be allowed to have kids.
Yeah.
That's happened.
It's true.
That's happened. Happened to friends of mine, that has happened to. Utterly disgusting. And it's happened. And the thing is, it's done in such a way that it is so passive that it just happens and then moves on. There's no argument, there's no discussion, because usually the person who hears it is stunned by what they've just heard. I've had, personally, I've had it, oh, I can't believe you have an education. You sound almost intelligent for being blind. Yeah. Wow, really? And that stuff is just so passive. So maybe we are used to it. But the reality is that people now feel that not only on social media, but in the street, and especially with blind people, I don't know why this is, people feel they can just come up to us and say the most horrific things, and it is just perfectly acceptable. And I have to say, it's not just the sighted community. There's a real... I watch a lot of these forums. I see a lot of talk about community and, sighted community, the sighted community, that, sighted people bad. I find the blind community can be just as bad in many, many ways. And it really annoys me sometimes, this idea that, somehow, I remember seeing a comment once, disabled people can't be ableist. I remember once hosting a debate back in my RNIB days of, can disabled people be racist? Of course they can. They're
how's
people.
That even a question?
They are people. Stop. This is why I keep saying people. Not disabled persons.
Stephen Scott.
No,
we're not.
Kind. We are the same.
We're not human. We
are that's the point. As soon as you start putting other words in place,
take the humanity out of it.
Dehumanize us. And we're not. We are human beings like everybody else. I cannot believe in 2025, I'm still saying out loud and being criticized for it, by the way. When I go online and I say, you know what? I'm a person first. I get tagged for it. I cannot believe it happens, but it happens. Because people seem to think that being in a box and putting that identity first is better than actually being a human being. And God knows in this world we're in, if we just stopped seeing ourselves as identities, can no one see this? Is it the blind guy who can see it? Is that how this works? Is it only the blind people that get it? That if you actually see past that identity and you actually see the person as a human being, that your attitude towards them might be a little bit different, might be kinder, rather than saying, well, you live in this patch of land, or you're this color, or you're this person, or you're this gender, or you're this disability.
You're this demographic.
You're this in this box, and therefore you're the reason my life is worse. Yeah, my life is terrible because of you. Maybe it's your choices in life. Maybe it's the circumstances you've grown up in. Maybe you've got some responsibility as a human being. Take some responsibility for your own life. Be considerate of other people. There's two things you could do, and I bet we'd have a bit of a better world.
Stop telling people what to do, Stephen Scott.
Sorry. I'll go out in my box now. Back in my disabled person box.
Wow.
I was not expecting to get through a whole show with that one email, but I had a feeling. when I heard that one. I did listen to it before we came on, and I have to say, I did think I'm probably going to have a few comments I want to share on this, but
you did.
It did give me some food for thought.
Thank you, Eden, and good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you. And congratulations. Spend your money any way you want.
Your money. Spend it on whatever.
Buy an ad on Double Tap. There you go. That's a good use of money.
Someone else asking for your money.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
There you go. Yeah, okay. $10 would be nice. That'd be lovely. Thank you. No, listen, great. And tell us how you get on with the Monarch as well. I know that lots of people, I'll say again, a few people, let's say a few people. A few good blind people have been trying it and buying it as well. I heard from one recently. I don't want to name check her because I don't know if she's prepared or ready to talk about it yet. But I know that particular individual is very excited, and I don't know if they have access to it yet, whether it's still to come or what. But I know they're very excited about it. So, if you've got one, do come on and share the news. I was a little bit hesitant, as you know. I was a little bit hesitant about talking about the Monarch at the beginning because I thought it just feels so out of reach for so many people. But I also think, we want to talk about today's tech and we want to talk about cool stuff that's available now. But there's also no reason why we shouldn't future gaze a little bit. And for a lot of people, this is the future. It's not the now. It's the future. They're not going to access
It's making a difference
now.
To people now. So we should at least recognise it and talk about it.
Listen, if you want to get in touch, please do. We love hearing from you. And we'll get to more of your emails on tomorrow's show. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. 1613-481-0144. I did not forget. That is the WhatsApp number, which you can leave a message on. Do send us a text or send us a voicemail. You can even send video as well. You know, if you go into the video, we could see you on YouTube. You could be on camera.
We haven't had a video yet, I don't think.
I think we get. Would you know the only person who ever sends us video is our good friend Tim.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Actually, I've got one of his coming up quite soon, actually. On that. I don't know why the
nice.
button I've just pressed is sticky, but that worries me. Do you know, I started off the show and the first thing I did was spill my coffee. So I hope to goodness that's not spilled on there. That's bad news.
Poor blind guy. Can't drink a coffee.
I can't do anything. After everything I just said, I can do nothing. That is it from us today. Thank you as always for your messages, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye, Shaun.
Bye. Double tap solo.